Hello everyone, with you on AniMap. Today I will tell you about the anime sword art online. Happy viewing!
In 2022, technology has advanced far, even inventing a virtual reality helmet capable of transferring the entire mind and brain impulses of a person into the metaverse. The first field of using the helmet was not a social network, but an entire online game, as everyone wants to try new sensations. The discs were already sold out on the day of sale, but Kirito didn't even need to go to the store. He was lucky to get into 1,000 beta testers, and therefore access to the shared server was provided absolutely free. In the game, the grass is greener than in reality, and there are plenty of onlookers. One of those clients who follows Kirito after noticing that he moves much faster than the others. In honor of the acquaintance, you can learn a couple of tricks for the annihilation of wild boars, but you can't linger for a long time, since Klein ordered pizza home, which was supposed to arrive any minute. But the button to exit the game disappeared somewhere, obviously a bug. Therefore, he wants to write to technical support, but it does not work, and after a couple of minutes the players were completely teleported to the main square of the starting city. Then Akihiko Kayaba appears in front of everyone, and introduces himself as the creator of the helmet and the developer of the game. He explains that the lack of an exit is such a feature, and now everyone will live in his game. And if someone is destroyed in battle, then in reality the helmet will fry the brain with a microwave pulse. Trying to pull the device out of the socket is also pointless. A couple of hundred people have already tried, but they are no longer alive. The helmet has a built-in battery that, if the connection is broken, will put the helmet into kill mode. Before leaving, Kayaba congratulated everyone, and gave everyone a mirror that changed the appearance of the avatar to the real appearance of a person. In order to get out of the game, you need to go through all 100 floors. Kirito realized that the resources were limited and that he needed to go to the nearest village as soon as possible so that he could collect the items before the others. Klein, unfortunately, can't go. Then Kirito went alone. A month later, 2,000 players have already been destroyed, and the first level has not been completed. Therefore, it is necessary to arrange a meeting and discuss tactics, of which Diabel was the leader. Already, according to the available information, it is necessary to fight with the head of Cobalts. However, the discussion is interrupted by Kibu, talking about the victims and guilt of the beta testers. Beta testers are not respected here, because they secretly went to collect resources during a panic. Gilbert even gave a rousing speech about a free guidebook and fallen comrades from whose experience one must learn to survive. The meeting continues, and the best option would be to split into groups so that each squad goes about its own business. Someone will beat the boss, and someone will push passive people. Everyone knows each other, but only Kirito was left without a group. But he draws attention to the girl sitting opposite, whose name is Asuna, and she was also left without a group. The hike is scheduled for tomorrow, so you can refresh yourself with bread, and Kirito even has condensed milk. In the morning, the hard workers arrived at the entrance of the dungeon, where the bosses were already waiting for them. A battle begins, during which Diab was destroyed, because he thoughtlessly climbed into the fight with the boss. But luckily, Kirito and Asuna still finish off the boss. Kirito received a fancy cloak for the last hit. But the rest of the players are unhappy that the hero allowed their leader to go to the next world, although he himself refused the potion. Kirito then overcame his pride by telling the others that he didn't care about anyone in order to motivate everyone to keep going. A few more months have passed, the players have already advanced to the 28th floor, and the lonely Kirito still made friends with several people, but they have a small gap in level. His friends are level 20, and Kirito is level 40, while hiding it from them. The rest of the people all the time pumped their level, thus they were able to save up for a small house for the guild. While Keita teleported to make a purchase, the rest decided not to sit idle and go to the dungeon a little higher level. There was a chest in the middle of the room, but this chest is guarded by bosses who ambushed you. The outcome is obvious, all were destroyed. Players have already reached the 40th level. For the new year, the creators will organize an event. According to rumors, if you defeat a special boss, you can get an item that brings the player back to life. Kirito wanted to check it out for himself. But he was followed by Klein and his team, and also secretly watched by some other guild. Then the fight begins, while Kirito went alone to fight a special boss. The rumors turned out to be true. In part, an item can really resurrect a person, but only immediately after destruction and only for 10 seconds. Kirito doesn't need it and gives it to Klein. The next day, Keiko, the animal tamer, got into trouble. Suthi broke because of the evil spearwoman Rosalia, and now she catches direct hits from the monkeys. It would seem that the end is already approaching, even the dragon is already lying on the ground, having been exposed to a blow. But at that moment, Kirito arrives and saves them from their inevitable grief. Moreover, he is even ready to help the girl to resurrect the pet for free. You will need to go to a high-level hill. There are only 3 days for treatment. Out of desperation, she accepts help. In the evening, the guys discussed the travel plan, but someone overheard their conversation. On the way back, the heroes were attacked by a mob of bandits led by Rosaria. In fact, everything that happened was a cunning plan and a trap conceived by Kirito to catch the bandits and send them to prison. They ruined the life of one hard worker by destroying his friends. Kirito decides to take revenge, but the opponents strike in turn, while not damaging Kirito, since he has more auto-heal per second than the total attack of the bandits. As a result, Kirito sends them to prison. After the fight, Keiko was able to resurrect the pet. Meanwhile, level 59, Asuna is now the vice leader of the strongest guild, the Blood Knights. She's in charge of moving forward. Tired, she decided to rest on the grass and sleep. Fortunately, Kirito, like a real gentleman, guarded his girlfriend, since a sleeping person can be destroyed even in a safe zone by sending a challenge to a duel and destroying it in battle.
But this is not the only way to destroy in the safe zone. At that moment, the man is hanged and pierced with a spear that destroys him. And when Kirito and Asuna decide to find out what happened, no one has seen anything, and no one knows about it yet. Then the hero will have to conduct his own investigation. According to information from Gilbert, the blade was forged by a certain Grimlock. And by a lucky chance, the girlfriend of the murdered man is aware of the blacksmith. Once she and other guys were in the Apple Guild, which broke up after one incident. The guys got a rare ring, and they all could not unanimously decide whether to sell it or keep it. Only 3 people insisted that the accessory should be taken away, but the leader, who is also Grimlock's wife, went to put the ring up for auction and disappeared without a trace along the way. The situation emerges as follows: the restless husband avenges his wife. You need to talk with the third opponent of the sale. He serves in the forefront of tunnelers. During the dialogue, a sad friend went to the window, where she received a pin in the ribs. The villain in the hood did not manage to catch up, he teleported. You need to think it over again, snacking on a sandwich. But the food fell from Kirito's hands and dissolved. It was then that Kirito realized that the boy had not been destroyed, but that everything that happened was just a setup to bring his friend to clean water. This turns out to be true. He once helped put a rotten plan of reprisal into action, but now he repents of his deed. So friends and recorded. Suddenly, members of the Red Player Killer Guild Laughing Coffin appeared from behind the bushes. Fortunately, Kirito almost foresaw this, and is already rushing to help. It turned out that everything, including the attack on his wife, was originally set up by Grimlock himself, because his beloved wife became strange from the moment they were locked in the game. Grimlock was let out in handcuffs. Asuna has a friend who owns a blacksmith shop, Rika, and it was her that Kirito came to, saying that he wanted a new fashionable powerful sword that was no weaker than his current legendary sword. But the best blade in the store just broke in front of Kirito's black blade. Then Rika will have to go to the ice level for the rarest metal that no one has mined yet. The journey includes a fight with a dragon, sleeping in sleeping bags in a pit, and the very ore that turns out to be the animal's waste product. It turns out that the pit is not a trap, but a dragon's lair. Then they flew home, where Rika almost confessed her love to the first person she met. Upon returning to the city, the sword was forged. It turned out really stylish. Even Asuna came to watch as she was worried about her missing friend. In the meantime, 2 whole years have passed since the start of the game. Everyone lives a carefree life. Kirito catches rabbits and Asuna cooks. Nothing special has happened in these 2 years. The only important thing is the presence of the guard Cradle, with whom Kirito went one-on-one, where Kirito won. Asuna and Kirito now spend their free time together. One weekend, they even made their way to a high-level dungeon, going so far as to find the next boss's quarters. They reached him, and the battle began. Kirito knows how to wield 2 one-handed swords at the same time, but he carefully concealed this, because no one else has such a skill. Now all the information merchants are blocking Kirito's passage, and he just wanted to relax in company with Asuna. But this is also not a problem, since you can take a vacation from the guild. But for this vacation to take place, the leader of the guilds, Heathcliff, has one condition: a duel with Kirito. But if Kirito loses, he will be forced to join the ranks of the Knights of the Blood, since there have been fewer fighters in recent battles. A battle began, in which, unfortunately, Heathcliff won. And Kirito now has a new fashionable suit. Kirito wanted to indulge in a carefree vacation, when suddenly the classic guild everyday life began. He needed to train.
There is a former guard of Asuna in the team. He turned out to be from the Laughing Coffin Guild, and therefore Kirito dealt with the offender. Asuna arrives and begins to cry. Then the heroes finally decide to touch each other's lips for the first time. They also want to get married. Therefore, they took a vacation from the guild and went to a house in the middle of nowhere, and even promised to find each other in reality when the game was over. While walking through the woods, the newlyweds accidentally stumbled upon a child who does not have a player's mark above his head. They decide to take her home. Waking up, she said that her name was Yui, but she doesn't remember anything else. In other words, she has amnesia. Then Kirito decides to go to the starting city and look for his parents, but Yui already takes them for parents, and it seems that he no longer wants to part with them. They went to the first level, and there is absolutely deserted, as the players are kept at bay by the self-proclaimed army. Then they decide to restore justice and attack the military themselves. They also save a couple more children. Yui's head hurts from so many events, and she loses consciousness, falling to the ground. Army Commander Uriel asks for help from Kirito and Asuna. Her friend is in trouble in some new dungeon. Yui is sure that the lady is telling the truth, so Uriel needs to be rescued. On the way, they meet another boss that even Kirito can't handle. At that moment, Yui, who is actually an immortal artificial intelligence, was nearby. She saved her parents and told them the whole truth about herself. 2 years ago, at the start of the game, this program was limited in access rights, although Yui was originally meant to be an assistant for the players, but she disobeyed the order and now she will be deleted as a system error.
Everyone is crying. Meanwhile, Kirito transferred the information about artificial intelligence into the game item.
Carefree days have come to an end. Heathcliff calls to him, because a group of scouts who recently went to explore the 75th floor have disappeared without a trace. It was decided to assemble a new squad of the most elite fighters.
It's too quiet inside the boss's quarters.
It turns out the monster was hiding on the ceiling. Noticing the looks on her, she immediately descends to attack the guild.
The fighters fly off one by one. With difficulty, the boss still managed to defeat.
The guys sat down to rest and count the losses. Suddenly, Kirito remembered that Heathcliff was not taking any damage, and at that moment, Kirito broke loose and attacked the guildmaster. But he did not take damage, because he is an invulnerable object. And Kirito guesses that Akihiko Kayaba must have been watching the affairs of his world from somewhere.
Since Heathcliff was quickly revealed, he did not hide that he was supposed to be the final boss.
And since everyone found out the truth, Heathcliff, aka Kayaba, decides to spare them and gives them the right to choose. Heathcliff paralyzes all members of the guild and fights one-on-one with Kirito, or continue the game until the 100th level.
But a hero wouldn't be a hero if he didn't agree. So the epic battle begins.
Heathcliff squeezes Kirito in the corner, and it would seem that everything is over, but at that moment Asuna turned out to be stronger than paralysis and covered her beloved with herself, and she herself went to another world, which was Kirito's motivation to avenge his wife, and he defeated Heathcliff. After what happened, the newlyweds met in heaven, and they could have lived happily ever after listening to a boring monologue from Kayaba, but Kazuto Kirigaya woke up in the hospital. He is the same Kirito. He opened his eyes, got up and walked without any problems. And it would seem that everyone was saved and carefree everyday life would soon begin, but it was not there. Asuna and 300 others never woke up, which means their minds are still somewhere. Kazuto begins to feel sad in sadness. Even encouraging speeches from his sister do not save him. He is still under pressure from Nobuyuki, who is going to unwittingly take Asuna as his wife in order to become part of the family and take over the dowry.
The wedding is in a week, but there is still hope.
An old friend emailed me a screenshot of a girl who looked suspiciously like Asuna.
Gilbert reveals that the photo card was taken in the new Alfheim game and is running on a new augmented reality device.
Without thinking for a long time, Kirito enters a new game, where he has all his skill points, and even inventory. Even Yui had the role of a guide fairy.
Kirito threw away all the resources so as not to attract the attention of the moderators.
Nobuyuki calls himself the Fairy King, and keeps poor Asuna on top of the Yggdrasil tree in a golden cage.
He is working on an important program that can change human memory.
For this, 300 test subjects are needed. Meanwhile, Kirito and her sister, whose name is Suguha with the nickname Lifa, went to investigate. They tried to stop them, but no one dared to arrange a fight in front of the crowd.
It turns out that someone is following the heroes with the help of bats.
Therefore, they were driven into a trap, and they will have to attack in response.
Lifa restores Kirito's health with her ability, and transforms into the monster that Kirito once defeated. Then the villains retreat, and the hostage even told about the insidious plans for a small fee. According to him, they came for them because they crossed the path of the leader of some guild. Then Kirito found and defeated the evil villain, and also made an alliance with the two races. He gave them money to help them get to the base of the tree. In the meantime, Asuna left the cage, thanks to the fact that she had previously peeped and memorized the code to the lock. Walking through the corridors, Asuna accidentally found the room where the test subjects for Nobuyuki's experiment were kept. Asuna found the logout button, but didn't have time to press it because she was caught by the guards. At this moment, the brother and sister had already reached the main city, and accordingly the base of the tree. Even Yui felt that her mother was right above the heroes. Almost reaching the top of the tree, they are stopped by an invisible barrier. Asuna heard the saviors arriving and dropped the map she stole from under the guard's nose to them. But you still have to get there in the classical way, through the gate, the quest, and the crowd of monsters. During one of the battles, Kirito was finally destroyed. Now he flies in zero gravity and remembers the past. Leafa came to the rescue and resurrected her brother. Kirito kept the reason they were going upstairs a secret, but he still decided to reveal that Asuna was waiting for him upstairs. And Suguha realized that she fell in love not with a funny player with a nickname like her brother Kirito, but with her brother himself. Then Suguha cries and confesses their love. In the game the relatives start to fight with swords, and then cry again. But Asuna is waiting, we need to fly upstairs. Leafa and her friend will heal Kirito while he is about to fight the guards in an attempt to break through to the top. As a result, this friend had to self-destruct with the help of black magic in order to clear the way, and there the help arrived in time. But everything was in vain, because the door was closed by the system administrator, but the card opens any doors. Asuna is saved, everyone is happy. Suddenly, the Fairy King himself came to visit his players. He is the same creator of the game and the final boss. Everything goes according to the same plan as it was in the last game: paralysis, reduction of the anesthetic effect, and the battle itself. All this is due to the fact that the Alfheim code uses old algorithms and data from the masters of the sword, including the virtual image of Kayaba. Kirito ended up receiving admin rights and a world seed from Heathcliff as a gift. In real life, Nobuyuki took advantage of the moment and attacked Kazuto on his way to the hospital. But he turned out to be too weak, and even Kazuto almost destroyed him, but he stopped in time and successfully reached his beloved. A special school for rehabilitation was organized for the awakened players, and the seed of the world was uploaded to the internet absolutely free of charge, and now everyone can create their own game based on the code of the Swordmasters. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, like and press the bell so as not to miss new videos. AniMap was with you, bye everyone.